Among the world's most intelligent creatures are elephants. They love their caregivers and their family dearly. Elephants are hunted and murdered for their tusks, which is even more tragic in light of all of that. This amazing species is protected in most parts of the world, and you'll see why in today's tale. There are still wild elephants that wander free in several parts of India. Elephants from Africa and India differ greatly, even in terms of size, yet they are both very intelligent animals that require protection. While many people cherish and revere these animals, there are many who do not share this sentiment and do not wish to see them protected. In India, a hamlet made every effort to save the local wild elephant population. Elephants are able to move great distances, yet they usually visit the same places year after year. Elephants also have amazing memory. Some even travel to elephant graveyards to honor their departed family members. The villagers were on high alert because they knew that it would soon be time for some of the elephants to return to the neighboring forest. They heard gunfire, just as they had dreaded. The men in the hamlet heard gunfire late one day and hurried to the scene, apprehending a few of the poachers. However, the deeds of these wicked men still had repercussions. The sound of the firearms scared the animals, but fortunately none of them were shot. The locals saw that the elephant herd had dispersed as they glanced about. When a predator approaches, all of the adult elephants in the herd will defend the young and remain with them. However, the herd scrambled to flee as soon as the guns fired, leaving someone behind in the chaos. While the locals were out and about looking for any indications of an injured elephant, a guy named Akash, who went by Ash with his pals, stumbled across a disturbing scene. There was a newborn elephant caught in a big hole. He was attempting to get out with great desperation, but he kept falling back in. Initially, Ash wanted to attempt to help the kid, but he couldn't pull him out on his own because of his weight. Even after enlisting the assistance of the entire community, he remained extremely concerned about the elephant. He was alone since his family had left. It was one thing to provide for an elephant in need of adoption and without a home, but it would be incorrect to transfer this one to a sanctuary. There was still a chance for him to survive in the wild, and he did have a mother someplace. However, Ash was aware that at that moment, none of it mattered. Everything else could wait. They had to get him out of the pit and to safety first. After Ash contacted the other villagers, they promptly came up with a strategy to assist. They proceeded to the town to acquire some digging tools, which were frequently used to construct houses. After that, they began excavating the hole's sides. The goal was to create a road that the small elephant could walk on and escape, one that wasn't too steep to constantly falling back in. The search and rescue effort took a while. They had to move slowly so as not to startle the infant or confuse him to the point where he hurt himself. They even provided him buckets of food and drink, and Ash would converse with him. They had to operate extremely carefully since the earth surrounding the hole was uneven and rough, and large pebbles were within. In addition to having to ensure that no stray pebbles hurt the baby elephant, they also needed to be able to dig. It was labor-intensive and precise effort. Ash would go down into the pit with the elephant whenever it was safe to do so, and console him. His family was gone. He'd been fired at, and now a group of weird people were causing a lot of commotion all around him. He had to be really afraid. Even if his day wasn't going well, it appeared like he had made a new acquaintance. Ash gave him a hug and gave him ear scratches. He even gave the small fellow a trunk rub, which appeared to settle him down. He made the decision to go camping for the evening. When he begged his wife to bring him supplies, she went to the pit where the elephant was and brought food, his sleeping bag, and other goods. Ash slept beside him, and when he awoke, a portion of Font was resting on top of him. Upon their return, the rescue squad was resolved to finish their task by mid-morning. They had made a trail on the edge of the abyss. However steep, they could all assist in rescuing him. They eventually succeeded in freeing him by pulling a rope around his torso and pushing him from behind with Ash. Now everyone was wondering, what would they do with a newborn elephant whose family was located, who knows where? The rescuers waited for him to make up his mind, because Ash was the one who had discovered him, and the two of them had already appeared to form a relationship. Would they send for the local elephant rescue and give Font over to be cared for alongside other orphan elephants? Or would they take care of him for a while and attempt to reunite him with his family? Ash turned to face the infant, who was now contentedly nibbling on some twigs. He was aware of the amazing refuge and the excellent care they provided for the animals, but this was a newborn that had been abandoned in the wild. Elephants are intelligent creatures, so his family must have recognized he was missing. They could be trying to find him. He came to the conclusion that they ought to offer the family an opportunity to reconcile. A few days later, if that hadn't occurred, they could always give the sanctuary a call. The guys had constructed a tiny cage for him not far from where he had been discovered, one whose sides a large elephant might easily topple, but which would not allow the infant to escape. Since newborn elephants don't yet have tusks, poachers usually don't worry about them, thus he would be safe there. Ash tried to play with him and took care of him. Ash was becoming as devoted to the baby as she was. Ash really wished for the best for this adorable kid, whether he was raised by people or in the wild. Even though he would have wanted to spend the entire day with Font, he also needed to take care of his wife and his job. It got to be a difficult position. After feeding the elephant early in the morning, Ash would go for work. He would go back to the enclosure as soon as he was finished. The elephant was also helped by other villagers, but Ash felt responsible for him, and Font glowed when he visited. At last, Ash would return home and spend quality time with his spouse. However, he sneaked out to visit the elephant every night, as soon as she went to sleep. He wanted to be certain he wasn't afraid or alone. Ash was unaware that his wife had noticed that he was spending the majority of the night there. She wanted to stand with her spouse since she saw how kind he was. So one day, she pretended to be sleeping until she heard him walk away, at which point she followed him covertly from a distance. She saw the small elephant's excitement at seeing him. She watched them play, and it was so wonderful, but suddenly her heart stopped. A family of elephants could be seen there, rapidly coming from the horizon. She yelled at Ash. Witnessing what she was witnessing, he gave the infant a short embrace before opening the cage and sprinting back to his wife to create a buffer between them and the herd. They pivoted to see the unfolding events. Little Font ran to his family when they recognized them. A woman broke away from the group and hurried on, carrying her trunk. It felt just like a mother cuddling her child as she pressed him against her. This family was finally reunited because they had waited wisely. Ash watched, his arms wrapped around his wife, as the herd all greeted Font home. Then they pivoted and began to move away. Font glanced back at his rescuer for one instant. Then he made a hasty return to his mother, vowing never to be left behind again. I appreciate you seeing. Come back soon for more amazing tales.